Well, first of all, welcome and thank you for coming here today. I prepared some notes, some thoughts, and at times I might refer them, so please forgive me for that. We are here today to apologise for a significant mistake made by the Manly Seagulls Football Club. As you are aware, the club yesterday launched a jersey for the women in the league round. The change to our traditional jersey was the application of rainbow colours to replace all the white spaces and the white lines. The intent of the rainbow colour application of our jersey was to represent diversity and inclusion for all, utilising the symbolic colours of pride to embrace all groups who feel marginalised, face discrimination and have suppressed share of voice. The jersey intent was to support the advocacy and human rights pertaining to gender, race, culture, ability and LGBTQ movements. Sadly, the execution of what was intended to be an extremely important and pioneering initiative was poor. There was little consultation or collaboration with key stakeholders, both inside and outside the club. Sadly, this poor management and project management has caused significant confusion, discomfort and pain for many people. In particular, those groups whose human rights we were in fact attempting to support. We have even adversely affected our playing group, a wonderful group of people comprising of many different racial and cultural backgrounds. We wish to sincerely apologise for the mistakes we have made. We wish to apologise to the minority groups within the community who embrace the rainbow colours as a symbol of pride in who they are, what they stand for, and their impassioned advocacy to enhance basic tolerance and acceptance within the diversity and inclusion space. We wish to apologise to the LGBTQ community who embrace the rainbow colours, to use these colours for pride and advocacy and human rights issues. It's played an integral role for the inclusion and diversity of all minority groups. We acknowledge the role of the LGBTQ community has played in breaking down the barriers for many other groups who also utilise the rainbow colours as a source of pride. We wish to apologise to the Australian Rugby League Commission, all of the NRL and the other 15 NRL clubs for creating negative news, shifting the spotlight from the launch of the Women in the League round. We wish to apologise to our own playing group and staff for any confusion, discomfort and pain that the mistake we have made may have caused them. We accept your cultural beliefs and hope that you can accept our apology. Harvard professor Robert Putnam has stated in an extensive work on establishing a civil society that to create civility we need to embrace three core values: cooperation, trust and reciprocity. In this situation, we have been poor in exhibiting behaviours aligned to these. If we had suitably cooperated with key stakeholders, both internally and externally, we would have cultivated, hopefully, a more suitable trust that would have ideally led to our action. Our intent was to be caring and compassionate towards all diverse groups who face inclusion issues daily. However, instead of enhancing tolerance and acceptance, we may have hindered this. This was the opposite of our intent. Please let me tell you a final anecdote. I have a close friend and confidant who is autistic. He is a passionate advocate for the rights of the neurodiverse and embraces the rainbow colours as a symbol of neurodiversity pride. He was very angry at how the club had handled such an important opportunity to raise awareness and support advocacy for the diversity and inclusion of human rights movement. But he then reflected on how intolerant people had been towards him and how he had been marginalised when he had communicated poorly, when he had made communication mistakes, not because he was mean-spirited in the fact he was the hardest, biggest Farlack, but because of his neurodiverse. He said, how can I be intolerant towards the club when I want people to be tolerant for my mistakes and those of neurodiverse people? I want people to accept me for my intent and big heart, not for my communication mistakes. And I must support the club in this difficult situation. I'm reminded of Gandhi's quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I truly hope that the communities, the NRL, our players and our staff who have caused confusion and pain can accept our apology. Personally, I share the views that are inclusiveness across the game and society. And it's an important matter, and the NRL is for everyone. In this specific instance, I also feel for these players. They were not included in any of the discussions of the decision-making of the jersey. At a minimum, they should have been consulted. There are always going to be subsets of society who have cultural and religious views, and they must always be considered. Ultimately, this comes down to discussion and collaboration. None of the coaching staff nor the players have prior knowledge to the jersey. They are not wearing the jersey as it conflicts with their cultural and religious beliefs. And I am concerned for their welfare. Their spirituality is a central part of their well-being. The club has made an error from which it and we will learn. The players will not play on Thursday, and we accept their decision. These young men are strong in their beliefs and convictions, and we will give them the space and the support they require. The playing group are solid and understanding of each other's views. As a club, we will wear the jersey on Thursday night. I personally played with Ian Roberts and wholeheartedly admire his contribution to the game. He was an order. And also to society, in both raising awareness and acceptance of diversity and inclusion. He is a great man and a great citizen of our society. The role he has played at our club, the NRL, and the community cannot be understated. We must continue to seek out his guidance and opinions. Whilst we have come a long way as a society, there is still no doubt much work to be done, particularly in education. That includes the NRL. For any person who is struggling with identity, we acknowledge their challenges and the difficulties. And my heart goes out to you and your families. If either the club or I personally do anything to assist, we will. We are here and we offer our complete support. And I apologise to anyone whom this matter has caused distress. Thank you.
Des, can I ask a question, please? You're apologising for the club's mistake. You say that you and the players had no forewarning of this or involved in the decision. Why are you making the apology, not someone from management?
You'll have to talk to management about that. I can't answer that.
Des, did you try and twist the arm of these players, or like it's 7 players? Is it 7 players?
It is.
I mean, how much of a body blow is that when you get sort of near the end of the season and you're doing your best to make it go?
Yeah, obviously all those were taken into consideration. And as I've outlined, we've accepted their decision.
You said that there was no consultation with the players. How far in advance did you know his jersey would be launched? Was there any consultation with you?
There will obviously be internal review, no doubt. And that's all I can really enlarge and comment on that at the moment.
The NRL policy of inclusion mentions sexual preferences, gender, religious views, etc. So in making this decision and splitting the club in who's playing and who's not playing and going ahead with wearing the jersey, is that not picking sides, one group over the other, in what should be all-in inclusion according to the policy?
I can understand what you're trying to say with that question, that at the end of the day, when considering the events and the lack of, which I outlined, of planning around it, to take into account their convictions and their beliefs, and then they made that decision. They wouldn't play, and we as a club would wear that jersey.
Yes, you spoke about the impact on those 7 players and quite pointedly their welfare. Can you just tell us how they are and what support you have around?
It's going to be ongoing, so it is something that we are going to have to monitor and keep an eye on and apply support.
You've conceded that you've made mistakes, many mistakes that we made. Did you consider withdrawing the jersey?
That was a discussion that we had with the NRL, but the fact is that we had that initiative, and as I said, the initiative, the jersey, is about inclusiveness and diversity.
Because what was the thinking? The women in the league round, was that a specific choice to roll it out in the same week? Who's decision was that?
Originally, the jersey was about inclusiveness and diversity across society.
So it was a specific choice to wear it this week in the women in the league round?
It was for the women in the league round, and it is about women in the league.
Someone made the call. You're obviously not going to identify that person. Do you know why that person made the call without telling everybody else?
I can't comment on that.
What do you say to your LGBTIQ fans with so many of these players now being seen not to support you?
That we are there, and I've stated where we stand. We are here for support.
Daly, some of your teammates now are being labelled as bigots for saying that they won't wear this jersey, and they're being slammed on social media. Have you spoken to any of the players concerned to see how they're going?
Because it's so recent, no one's raised any specific concerns, but like Des has said, there's a reason why everyone's here today. It's because it's big news, and we have to make sure that we look after our teammates, because it's going to be, probably a period that they haven't experienced before as professional athletes.
Have you ever heard of bigoted views from amongst your playing group with regard to the LGBTQI community?
No, stuff like this isn't a topic of conversation, unless put in a situation. So we're experiencing a lot of things for the first time as a playing group.
David, how do you keep the squad unified? I mean, this is a pretty intense glare for all the reasons out of your control.
Yeah, exactly. And there's sometimes the hardest situations in sport is to try and deal with situations that are sometimes out of your control. But one thing we can control is, as a playing group, accepting the decision that some players have made, and probably trying to find the silver lining in all of this. There are going to be 17 players out there celebrating inclusiveness and diversity, so I think hopefully we can start to shift our attention towards the good in this, the good intentions that we had.
You're obviously still missing 7 players there. That's a big hit to playing groups.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. We understand, where we're at in the footy part of this. We try and play finals football, and every game counts, and we're playing against a side that's not far away from us on the ladder. So we get all that, but these are decisions that we have to accept. And I guess for someone like myself as a captain, I sort of see the opportunity in this to really bring a group together and try and do something special on Thursday night.
Des, how do you plan to support these players in the coming days and weeks that have been exposed due to this crisis?
Just by monitoring and being there for them, particularly the mental health side, and how that plays out and how that just have to.
Will the club bring on extra psychologists or anything?
We'll do what is needed.
We have trouble building a side that's competitive this week, and will the replacements potentially have the same theory as those that have pulled out?
We some of the players that are playing will wear the jersey, and yes, we will fill a side that will be competitive.
How do you think the fans will accept all this, considering we're near the end of the season, it's touch and go? I mean, they want like you to be in the final. How do you think the fans are going to cope with all this?
Oh, that's the situation we're in right now. Unfortunately, we're not going to make everyone happy, and like a lot of things in life, you can't make everyone happy. So, I sort of tried to make it really clear that as a person, you have the right to your own actions. So, with those actions come consequences and repercussions, and we just have to make sure that any of these things get too out of hand, that we're there to support our teammates for their decisions.
Were you guys told that you had to come out today to address the media, or did you volunteer to do it? And if you were told, did you ask why it was you?
We volunteered, yeah.
David,
I wasn't told to come in.
I've spoken directly to lifelong Manly fans who said that this issue will drive them away. They will no longer support this club. What is your message to them to try and keep them on board moving forward?
Yeah, I suppose I'm really trying to encourage people to have an open mind about what's happening at the moment. And Des sort of touched on it. As society, we have got a lot of progress to make around topics like this, but there are going to be people out there that are wearing the jersey, and I'm going to be out there proudly wearing that jersey, trying to endorse inclusiveness and diversity. And I think eventually, once we get over the fact that people have made a decision not to play, there are people that are making a decision to be out there. So I'd encourage them to get behind those people and come and support us on Thursday.
David,
Have you
football
named the-
takes a bit of a back seat, I guess, in these sorts of issues, but there is a season at stake, and it's effectively at your own hand. Is that hard to contemplate, that your own club has effectively blown up this season, the way it looks at the moment?
Yeah, look, this is sometimes where I fall trapped to being a bit of an optimist. I see this as such a good challenge as a player, as a skipper of the side and the club. So there's 6 games to go. So reality is we'll need to win most of them, but we don't necessarily have to win all of them. But I can guarantee I've never gone out there without the belief that me and my side can get a victory, and it'll be no different on Thursday.
Des, you spoke about you apologised to the LGBT community for the potential damage this caused. This jersey is now sold out for the club. Would you encourage the club to donate those profits to those groups?
I think any initiative like that is a great thing.
Just on that, do you know how many jerseys were actually put out there?
I'm a coach. Sometimes. And I'm usually very good with stats. You'll have to forgive me, I don't know that stat.
Can you confirm the 7 players?
Sorry, Team Richie.
Jed, did you
Excuse
persuade
me.
those 7 players to maybe reconsider it also?
No, I
As
didn't.
captain, I mean.
No, I didn't. Sometimes it's best when you have this sort of stuff going on in your personal life. It probably doesn't help you when you have to go out there and perform at a level that people will hold you to. So with situations like this, it is actually sometimes best to just let the game move forward, and after that we'll regroup after Thursday night and they'll be back ready for selection.
The players that are playing, obviously, they will agree to wear the jumper, and I assume like you will wear a brand. Is that the message they've sent to you?
Yeah, pretty much, mate. No one's forced to do anything in this game, as the decision's obviously really clear. Some people feel strongly about certain things, and that's fine. But like I said, I think it's a really good initiative, and I think it's going to be 17 people out there that are going to do a lot of people proud, and hopefully make some people that are feeling at home a little bit vulnerable, hopefully feel a little bit more welcome in society.
Can you name the 7 players that have made this decision not to register?
It's not for
I
me.
think that's appropriate at this stage.
Do you think you'll do it again? Do you think next season we come to this period of the competition? Do you think you'll do it again next year?
Do what?
Produce another jersey like this next season?
It's about women in league. Yes.
Does you just
I know, but
Participate in that. And, yeah,
the
we'll learn.
rainbow.
We will learn from. I definitely we'll have to learn from this. Yeah, I've always made that an outline for you.
Des, when did you learn of just how big an issue this was? You didn't know prior to this happening, but when did you really know how major this was?
When I found out a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Des, are you disappointed that sport has been politicised, and would it be better, in your opinion, if sport was sport and these issues were kept sort of out of it?
In a perfect world, that would probably be the case. But we are humans, we are frail, and we make mistakes, and we're tolerant. So it's important that we move forward.
Have you spoken?
And that's what we've attempted to do today.
Sorry, Des, have you spoken to Ian Ross? And how is that? Have you had time? I mean, I know it's very...
We will catch up.
Taylor, you're obviously General President of the RLPA. Peter Landis today spoke about the potential of maybe a trial round or inclusion round going forward, NRL widening. A, do you think that would be possible? And B, how do you think it would be discussed, negotiated between the RLPA and the NRL, or just generally these kind of matches going forward?
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the positives that will come from this. As a game, we'll get a better understanding where some players stand on this situation, and once, if they do want to get a bit more of a lay of the land, it'll be up to the NRL whether they wanted to proceed with something that big.
Will those 7 players be here Thursday night, and if so, what sort of reaction do you think they'll get from fans?
Yes, they'll be here.
Are you worried about what reaction?